So I said to myself, yeah, let's do it right away. But then I remembered how efficient I am when I'm all free within my brains and when I know what I want to do. So now, a day like this, would you want to stay inside and create art? No! So let's go and buy some underwear. Let's go to the elderly home and give them some art to put onto their tables or onto the windows, Or let's think about the topics that are most not prominent but important to me to be mentioned within the movie script, because also from my 18 or 20 songs, I don't know exactly, only 5 made it into the movie script, because you cannot sing a 2-hour concert and then the movie would be 10 hours. So I could make a prolonged movie script, say within after that 5 songs, If you want to make this movie into a day-long experience, yes, for a museum, then yes, let's have her sing all the songs and then still end with that little prayer thanking all the Swiss that actually do a lot of good to the animals, because we are rich, we got food, we got money, we got it all. Why would we have animals beside us suffering? Of course we take care, but also there is a lot of people, and that's the kind of turn. I'm not just silly, oh yeah, let's have an applause for all of us because we are so good. No, it's because in Switzerland we tend to follow the government say. We tend to do as people want us to. We pay the taxes and we are occupied throughout our lives with topics that aren't ours. So living in Congo, Africa, you don't pay taxes. I mean, if you make a lot of money, maybe, but usually you just have what you need for your survival. In certain countries, you just don't pay taxes, man. You do your life. You create offspring, you eat, you shit, you sleep. You dance, you sing, you rejoice, But what we do is we worry. Do we have a job tomorrow? But we still have food. So we are worrying for nothing. And then when we have no food, we don't really go, what could I do now? Where does the food come from? From the earth, the nature. So why do we not just try to get to a place where we can get food from the place, the nature? No, we turn to the government. So we are within that system that the Phoenicians created long ago, just by conquering every nation, every part of the world, turning it into a nation by their mercantile system, which is a maritime law that says everything is commerce. So by that, the civilization, in 1666, by the Sesui-Quetui Act, by some king, there were tribes and all, so they were just trading their cloths, the Phoenicians, and they were telling people, yeah, there is our build of the ships, we can sell you the parts and you reassemble them in your country. So that was just mercantilismus going on, people trading stuff. Then there was wars, and then the law actually took over. So what you got now is the kings. Then 1600 is not that far back in time. Now we are 20,000, so 1600. I mean, what's that? Okay, they had no bathrooms, they had no showers. They were always stinking and, okay, not washing and, So, okay, but, now we got all that. But still, the kings had money through this system. The leaders of tribes and the big tribes that settled, built cities, walls for people to live in. And then, to protect them, as they said, if there's something is rolling over the countries. There were the Turks in Vienna. Only because of them I can eat croissants this is my favorite style of bread. So it's not bread, it's a croissant. It looks like a moon, like a hook. So because of the Turks, the Ottoman Islam conquering the whole world and even being in Vienna, now we still have that sort of bread. So yeah, cultures got intermixed, but then that maritime law actually makes us, the people living within. Early on it was a real wall around cities, around a castle just. So there was one person, one king within that castle that could look after all the people within that castle. So he had food, the woman that cooked the food and the helpers she had food, and the guy that went outside of the walls of the castle to actually gain the food out from the earth, he had food. The horses they needed to trade with other castles, they had food. The pigs, the sheep, they all had food. And later on it was big cities that still had food and no more wall around them, because the wall now was this mercantile system. So you get born nowadays, and in Germany it is, you can actually get rid of this strings that bind you. You can just say that if your parents or ancestors were within Germany before 1913, that you want to just revoke that German citizenship that you got now and go back to the old one, because the Weimar Republic they had then, and then there came Hitler, and actually it was like a taking over, because since the war ended there has never been a vote within Germany, and the law saying that the old law stays in place with the Americans ruling Germany still is in action. So the law says you have to vote for, the Germans now actually having a law for themselves. But since that paragraph 146 has never ever happened, so it's still the Americans, and that's why they have in Ramstein their control systems to actually fly like in Iraq, because you cannot really do it from America, right? So how would the flights be flying all over a ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and then end up here and then still continue flying? It's just not possible. Aeroplanes need to go to the ground and grab some more kerosene to continue flying. And also, why would you, like if you're using real bombs instead of any kind of toxic remedy, like, there has been a lot of rumors about Vietnam already. It's a heavy load to carry a bomb. So saying so, the Germans are allies of the United States government. So the government from the United States actually decides what's happening within Germany. So in Switzerland it's different. You still have your passport and your ID, and you signed these documents. So like when you wanted to receive them, the papers you signed made you sign into this mercantile system. So what we still have is, we are as a human being some sort of like the capital of the country we live at. So with all the immigrants that got flushed over, what Germany did is prevent themselves to get real poor. Because between the nations now, Germany is still rich because they got so many new inhabitants that they can kind of, put onto the table when they ask for some new credit from the World Bank. So that is the reason why they actually have let in so many foreigners. And so a human being, its life force, like the possibility that you work, and that you kind of do something and then you have some more than at the beginning of your life, right? You're eating and all of that, but yeah, when you eat and you have leftovers in that mercantile system, the tax paying is what they call like their revenue out of your life force. Like whatever you do, even if you're ill and you're in hospital, you're using their systems. So them actually being on both sides of every the government, and they print the money and they hand it out, and they are within the government, or they are like Pepsi and Coke. So it doesn't matter whether you're ill and not partaking, doing some, good, or whether you just use it, because when you use it, then within that system, you give them the opportunity to make money. Imagine you had some illness, and they also invent illnesses like AIDS and cancer. So if you take me, I've never been to a gynecologist. I've been twice. Once I was because some rubber stuck within me. At least that person I've been with told me so I had to check. And also I was getting frightened because a friend of mine that I phoned out of nothing during that happenings told me, yeah, you need to go and see the gynecologist. And so when you get driven into fear, you do things that are not necessary. So yeah, if there were no gynecologist, I would have waited, so my next period would have flushed out whatever was left within me. So imagine yourself not taking part in any of those business ventures of the elite, the Phoenicians, that are on every side of every topic. So yeah, what happens then? You don't spend money and they don't take in money. So they don't profit from you. So even when you're ill, they profit from you. So it's a set number. Some millions are what you are worth as a human being. So there is the Bank of International Settlement in Basel, Switzerland, and they kind of, together with the World Bank, kind of have these, and all the other UNO so-called, but it's not true. It's not a non-governmental organization. They just call themselves such. But they are very much governmental. So they actually kind of decide corn. What will it be worth this year? Okay, so we trade. And then this and that nation, this and that many inhabitants. We have a system now. Now we say if that country, all the countries have debts, besides Syria that didn't have before the war, and other countries that are still to be conquered by that system, like 4 more countries are left, then the whole world is within that one world order. So until you don't have debts, then you don't need to do anything. But if you want money from some international organization, you need to have something. So it's the inhabitants of that country that make you receive the money.